Twilight Syndrome. It's an incredibly intriguing series of games that stars young high schoolers as they investigate rumors of paranormal phenomenon. And the rumors are often based on real-life urban legends, and to make things really interesting, the cases that these young people investigate often make them realize things about themselves or involve themselves in some kind of way. And they're incredibly well-told stories that, unlike a lot of other horror games, really nail tension. These games can build up to a confrontation like it's nobody's business, to the point that there is rarely, if any actual supernatural happening appearing on screen. But you feel it, you are right there with the people investigating, and as they get more and more tense, so do you. And that's an incredible feat for games that are just glorified walking simulators. These almost 30-year-old pieces of media do things with storytelling in games that modern games could learn a lot from, and just experiencing them is an event, and an incredibly immersive one. So sit back and relax, and let me explain the plot of Twilight Syndrome, Tansaku-Hen, aka Search. Mika and her classmates discover a message written on a desk in their classroom, and the message is a request for companionship. Whoever wrote it wants someone to talk to, and Mika and her friends call whoever left it behind a sad freak, and they decide to have some fun, and Mika writes back so that they can start stringing the person along. Later she tells the rest of the investigation trio about this, and they naturally chide her for being mean to some sad lonely person who thinks that they're now talking to someone with a genuine interest in them, and not just a gaggle of teenage hags out to mess with them. The communication on the desk goes back and forth, and Mika tries to get the person's name, but they're not comfortable giving it, instead asking Mika's favorite kind of literature, to which Mika responds by just paraphrasing some highbrow stuff that her and her classmates heard one of the teachers say in class. The conversation changes to the weather, and the person on the other end remarks that they can see the sunset from the desk that they are using to correspond, which sets off a bit of a red flag because Mika's desk doesn't face that direction, but apparently Mika doesn't pick up on this, and neither does the rest of the gaggle. The topic of conversation changes once again to music, and Mika mentions really liking a very popular song that was current when the game came out, but the other person responds that they are not familiar, to which Mika is in shock over, since it's apparently very popular and totally inescapable if you listen to music. The person on the other end apologizes and explains that they don't keep up with the trends, and that they live a quiet life, reading, playing music, staring out of the library window at the kids down below doing club activities, which does set the gaggle off, because the view from the library doesn't exist, since a building was constructed a few years ago that obscures that view now, and none of them can recall anyone that hangs out in the library that often and in that spot. The weirdness of it all makes Mika confess the whole thing to Yukari, and that it creeps her out. When Yukari asks why she just doesn't stop, she responds that she can't. For whatever reason, she can't stop, and so she doesn't. The person writes that they might not be able to continue their correspondence as they have to go away soon, and when Mika asks if they're moving, they reply no, they're gonna die. When Mika asks if they're sick, they say that they're not, they just know that they're gonna die, and they have known since forever, just like their mother, just like their sister. They apologize for scaring Mika, and Mika tries to end the correspondence, but then the person gives her what she wanted from the start. They ask to meet up. Meanwhile, the whole correspondence thing between Mika and the stranger has become a rumor of its own, and Chisato and Yukari are talking about it before deciding to go confront Mika about it and get her to stop, since it's obviously starting to affect her. She was on her way to the library to borrow a book, so they go and look for her there. They find the book that she was there to borrow, but not her. They ask a teacher about her, and they say that she just left, and comments that the book that they're holding has been lost for 30 years, ever since shortly after it was donated by a student, a nerdy bookworm who used to hang out in the library a lot, who unfortunately fell off a cliff nearby and died. They open the book and learn that her name was Sakura Higami, SH, the same initials as the stranger that Mika has been communicating with. Sensing that something is wrong, and not knowing what else to do, the girls rush to the desk that has been used for the correspondence, and they learn that Mika and Sakura are supposed to meet up at the cliff where Sakura died at 6 PM. They sprint there and look for her in the mountains, and when they approach the very spot where Sakura perished, there she is, dangerously close to the edge. It's ironic that the one time that they don't go looking for a ghost is the one time that they actually have the closest and most intimate encounter with one. Chisato and Yukari try and stop Mika from jumping over the edge, but they can't get through to her, and she does just that, except that she doesn't plummet to her death. She floats upwards, and then she disappears into thin air. And that was the end to Tansaku-Hen, but not the end of the story. The story will resume in Kiyomu-Hen, right where we left the characters in Tansaku-Hen, and the best is yet to come. I have completed the games several times now, and I've understood the gist of the story for a while, but it wasn't until I came across a translated playthrough by ARDW that I really got to understand the full story, as well as almost all of the nuance that was completely lost on me, like the bathroom chant thing in the beginning, the 7 mysteries, and the ever-present payphone that you can call in-game, which I haven't mentioned before because I think this game still deserves to be shrouded in just a little bit of mystery. It feels good to have it out there in the world, and it feels good to be able to share this story with all of you. A story that I've been touched by and that I've been touched by alone. And like I said, it doesn't end there. We'll continue in Kiyomu-Hen, and then we'll have to see where the rumors take us from there. I'm excited to see what the ending was all about, and I hope the pedo teacher slips on the cursed stairs and dies. I think Twilight Syndrome, despite being a very Japanese game, speaks to all of us. We've all been teenagers, and we've all spread rumors, and we've all listened to them. And some of us have even gone to investigate allegedly haunted places and scared ourselves shitless. So a game that captures that feelings and bottles it and packages it up as a game is an incredibly engaging experience for something that on paper just seems so fucking boring. Nothing much of anything really ever happens in the game itself, but the anticipation of something happening is killer, and when it finally does, it really delivers. I hope you've enjoyed this journey through Twilight Syndrome Tansaku-Hen, and I'll see you next time when we go investigate and search for answers as to what happened to Mika. But for now, good night.